The Ceratosaurus charge bite hitbox acted more like a cone. It hits far and wide, but the closer you are, the less likely it will hit. What up, dudes and dudettes? My name is Super Shiny and thank you for joining me today. In celebration of hitting 100 subs, I wanted to dedicate this episode to you guys. To those who have subbed and are subbers in the future, I greatly appreciate your support. Without you, we wouldn't have hit this goal. Anyways, let's head on in. The Northeast Plains. It feels like deja vu. Sanctuary is close, but it's getting tougher to survive. There do be baby campers at the gates. I could smell this fresh kill from a mile. A deer is nice to start off our diet with lipids, also known as lines. There were a pair of Tenontosaurus that moved conspicuously. I wasn't sure whether they were real or not. Probably shouldn't approach them, for their own safety of course. Trying to climb higher for a better view of the sanctuary, I fell right on top of a baby raptor. Lucky for me, they were daydreaming. Shh, only dreams now, only dreams. We've been told there are plenty of prey here, but each time that I reach this so-called haven, I find less prey. There needs to be something else for carnivores to eat. How about rodents? This is going to be rough surviving with such a poor start. Sanctuary was not so generous to me. Besides having a small amount of raptor meat, I've had a poor diet in the entirety of living here. Here comes the bees, warning me that I've grown too large. I guess it's time to explore the Isle. Run! My dino senses were tingling again, and so I headed towards the migration zone. Let's stop to get some water first. I was willing to risk everything for a drop of water. Luckily, there wasn't a dino in this spot. Definitely plenty upstream, though. Close to starvation, I was willing to go through the extreme of grabbing a decomposing body out of the river. Insane, I know, but you're not you when you're hungry. You know, looking back at moments like this, I didn't even question why there was a body in the river in the first place. Anyways, this raptor body will carry me over a little while longer. Finally out of the jungle, I was getting closer to the bridge, east of Jungle Sector. Water-infested dinos. Never drink here unless you want to be in the belly of a croc. Beautiful scenery, nonetheless. With a tsunami hitting the Isle in a few minutes, I buckled up and hid in a bush until it was over. Waking up the next day, I was fortunate enough to have the same migration zone from when I slept, and the same hunger and poor diet. On the bright side, I'm not dead. Yet. Making my way to the river delta, southeast of the jungle sector, I was closing in on the migration zone. But I was no longer by myself. After hearing the Ceratosaurus' footsteps, I'm glad I didn't take the fight. It was much larger than myself. That could have been bad. There was something down the pathway. I could go for anything. All I could think about was a fresh corpse to make this hunger go away. Rushing headfirst, I nearly bumped into a Carno. For all I know, it was getting water while the rest of the group was at a fresh kill. The Carno wasn't aggressive, just protective. And so I moved on. Several minutes later, I smelled a corpse. I could feel my own health dropping, and all I knew was that I had to make it to that body no matter what. Finally, fresh meat. I pulled out all the organs for a perfect diet and stuffed my belly with Tenontosaurus. Now to quench my thirst at a small stream. This looks shallow enough. Given some time to grow, with a perfect diet, I was getting closer to 900 kilograms. A slow growth given the time of my life, but things were finally turning around. This canyon and its tunnel is one of the best places that I gush about. A path not made for the weak. You never know what you're going to bump into. With a breath of fresh air, we have reached the North Swamps. Grabbing a drink of mud water, there was a stegosaurus very close by. The stego was rather large. Not my first choice to hunt, but if I were more desperate, I would have done it in a heartbeat. Footsteps. It was rather large, but it sounded so low. A Carno looking for water. I missed! Oh boy, this was a bad idea. He was way larger than myself. A full-grown. I missed again. This was not going to plan. He barely even has a scratch. Oh no! GG's. Reborn in the South Plains, I had plenty of time to think and plan my attack against a Carno. You only learn through your mistakes, and the bigger the mistake, the better the lesson. This time, I didn't bother going to a sanctuary, but instead found corpses around to feed on. Well, maybe not this one. I found a dead Ceratosaurus, probably killed by raptors patrolling the area for sport. Looks like it escaped, but bled to death. How do I know? This isn't my own body. That's not important. Anyways, I spent most of my time growing in the fog. There was a Dino corpse in the middle of the river. It must have died to hunger a long time ago, so I went Dino fishing. Luckily, there weren't others around. Having a little Dino in my belly, water was next on my mind. I'll take my chances, but for most, I'm sure it's a red flag with a dead Dino in the water. Picking off the corpse throughout the night, it was finally morning. With it came a Carno and a raptor in the far distance. And back in the bush I go. There were way too much activity, and I'm definitely not a morning person. Thankfully, they didn't check the bush with my face poking out of it. Speaking of which, that might be the same raptor pack that killed me. I mean, that poor Ceratosaurus in the forest. There was the same Carno that was up the hill waiting for them on the other side. Confused, I have no clue why the raptor didn't warn them. Oh well, not my pack. And so my dino senses were tingling towards West Rail Axis migration zone. And so I traveled. I smelled carbs in the seawater and decided to make a swim for it. Hopefully, it'll be something worthwhile. Holy hipsies, a full-grown packy! This will make up for my lost diet, and boy was I happy to make that swim. This should definitely be more than enough to get me to subadult. What a feast. Things were finally looking up from the previous life, and let me tell you, the pain never goes away. Unfortunately, there was a tsunami hitting the isle. With one last bite to eat, I prepared for the worst. Waking up the next day after the storm, my packy was washed away by the sea. I had to move. Surviving on the isle, you can't sit still for too long. Otherwise, you'll die from either starvation or dehydration. Water first, then plan for a hunt. I know a good spot. Almost no dino will make it this far, and if so, well, there's some other type of beast. Right over this hill. Ah, fresh water. Cleaning the dirt off myself, I planned for an ambush in the bush above. This site makes a great ambush point. The water is clear and so are the stragglers seen running to it. Speak of the devil. There it is, a Carnotaurus and well-sized. I have never used the charge bite more than once, and only for the initial attack. Even so, I've missed more times than I can count. Learning from my mistakes, the Ceratosaurus charge bite hitbox acted more like a cone. It hits far and wide, but the closer you are, the less likely it will hit. The hit and run tactic. I know this all too well. The damage was done. My bacteria was seeping inside the Carno's wounds. Now it's all about tracking it. A cat and mouse game. Can't be too far now. Oh, look at that. I found you. With those bites, I've sealed its fate. The Carno was frantically running. Excellent. Blood trail ended. I'm not worried. They never get far. Only a few more steps now. I knew you couldn't live without me. Time to go home. GG's. Fully grown and ready to turn in, I rest under a palm tree. I am a Ceratosaurus, the conqueror of Carnos. Thank you guys so much for watching this 100 subscriber special. I do hope you guys enjoyed as much as I did making it. Without your support, I wouldn't be making content. Much love. Anyways, and as always, have a nice day or night wherever you're from. Bye-bye.